Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Accept a motion to accept the minutes from our March 18th meeting.
Albert.
Second, please.
Rush.
Any discussion? Let's vote, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
And now we'll have our guests make their presentation. So that's Christine and Helen.
Hello, good evening. I'm Christina Cross. I'm a Kenton High School government teacher, and also I oversee the Wildcat Community Connector internship program, which we'll be talking about first, and I'm also the coach for the Legal Studies mock trial course. So we'll hear about that second. So first of all, I know many of you are very familiar with the Wildcat Community Connector internship program, but I definitely wanted you to hear from a student firsthand about her experience tonight. So I know on the agenda it says we have two students. Those two at the top are actually the mock trial students that will be presenting tonight. And unfortunately, two of our students could not make it, the WCC students, and that's Joey Morrison and Alexis Grebs. But fortunately, we have Aubrey Thresh in the audience, and she's going to come on up. We have approximately 20 interns this year for our entire internship class, which is great. And it has really grown from just a class of 8 students all the way now to 20. And next year, it looks like we're going to have around 30 something. Okay, so we're still in the recruitment process and still seeing if it fits in everyone's schedule, but the program continues to grow, which is a great thing. And so these are some of our students. We've had some in agriculture, dentistry this year, machinery, engineering, also electric, and now we have Aubrey, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her internship.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Thrush. I'm a junior at Kenton High School. I did my internship at Kenton Elementary School. I did my internship in several different classrooms. I was really wanting to decide whether I would like to go into regular education or special education. My mom was my mentor. She put me in several different classrooms.
Great. So was there one particular thing that was of interest to you, or something an experience that really touched you during your internship?
Going into my internship, I was kind of clueless. I knew about the classroom and whatnot, but I never got to do much hands-on, and so that's when I really figured out that special education was my calling and what I really want to do. So it was a really great hands-on experience, and to be right there, it was really nice.
Right, and to be so fortunate to have your mom as your mentor. What our students do is they basically log in 60 hours during a semester. So some students stay in it for 2 semesters, others are just in it for 1 semester. And we have students that are in it for more than 1 year. They can be in it for 2 years if they want both their junior and senior year. For Aubrey, she did a capstone project. All of our interns do a capstone project, but I was there to actually go and observe it. And so she taught a lesson to her students. Do you want to explain this?
Sure. I did my lesson over empathy. So I read some books to them or whatever over empathy, and then our project, or more hands-on thing, I had cut out this heart, and it says, "Before you speak, think and be smart. It's hard to fix a wrinkled heart," which may seem easy to understand for us, but for them it was really helpful to be able to do. So I had them color the heart, cut it out, and then wrinkle it up as much as they could, which was really fun for them. It's like, don't tear it, and they tore it, but it was great. And then try to flatten the heart and see if it would be back to normal, and it wasn't. So I kind of taught them that before you say something, to make sure that you think about it, because you can't really take that back. I mean, apologizing always helps. And then we talked about like being empathetic for those if you see somebody that has their feelings hurt or something like that, to really reach out and be a friend. So.
And which classroom were you in with that lesson?
I did Mrs. Cox and Mrs. Brown's classroom.
Okay, so they're the inclusion.
Yeah.
Cross-categorical.
Yeah, cross-categorical.
Thank you. Yes. So there she is with one of the students who put her heart right on her locker. Is that right? Or...
Yep. They hung up their hearts.
So Aubrey, can you tell us how your internship will help you in the future?
Yeah, I just really think this internship was very helpful. So that way, when I finish college and go into a job, I'll at least have an idea of what's to come, and what I've seen that my teachers the however many teachers I worked with were really helpful in teaching me like what all they do and helping these kids and helping them learn. And I just feel like after working with them that I am much better prepared.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aubrey, I want you to tell one story though, because rarely do I go to the elementary and have multiple people stop me to tell me about a princess who made a little girl's heart grow. And I think that that's such a special story, that you were there on an internship and you were able to help a student that needed someone to mentor and be a support.
Yeah, so I got invited back after my internship. There was a student that had went to Disney World, but unfortunately got sick, so she didn't get to spend time with Cinderella, which is her favorite. And so her teachers were kind of using her like, if you're really good, you can go see Cinderella. And she never got to see her, so they had asked me and asked my mom if I'd be willing to come in and dress up like Cinderella and sing to them and eat lunch with her. And it was probably the best day of my life. So.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful experience. All of our students definitely have something to share. Another student who could not make it tonight was Joey Morrison, and he's a senior at Kenton High School. He was interested in history, and it just seemed the museum would be a natural fit for him. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him. Sheena is his mentor currently still, and Joey is someone who decided to do it all year long, so both fall and spring. He undertook quite a project though. So in the fall, and I know Sheena, jump in if you'd like to, but in the fall he started working on his project. He decided he was going to do a history of scouting and dedicate a whole room to it, and but he also was doing other things for the museum and helping to host their Halloween, what was it, a spectacular?
Scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt, yes. And I took my boys there. They had a great time, and he facilitated and did a very nice job as a docent and a tour guide of the museum, really knows it. But in the spring, he's really put all of his efforts into preparing this room and this exhibit, and has done quite a fine job both balancing the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts aspect of it from Hardin County. And so if you go there, and I encourage you too, you can go and see the artifacts firsthand, but Joey has really taken the time to write about them. He's written several articles in the Kenton Times and seems to be very, very knowledgeable about it. And so I was fortunate to be able to go on the opening day, the grand opening, but that exhibit will be open year-round, or for the next year.
Till spring of next year.
Spring of next year. So if you are nearby the museum, definitely take a peek. It's very much well done.
And
So,
some of us are going on Wednesday at 11:30 if you'd like to go.
I will just add,
Yes.
it wasn't just putting the exhibit together. Joe handled all of the communication between the representatives from the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. He talked to people in the community about donating items to the exhibit. I mean, he went above and beyond. He did an excellent job, and very little guidance from me. He kind of took it and ran with it, and it was pretty awesome.
that's great. That was his capstone, was putting together this exhibit. So every student takes on their own capstone project, and for, one student might be teaching a lesson to a classroom, another student is creating this exhibit. So really it runs the gamut of what the student's interest is. So I have all different types of capstones, and you can come and see all the different students' capstones on May 10th, is which I'm going to tell you about. But I did want to tell you really quickly about one other student. Abby Amweg was in our program last year, because I always am asked, well, what happens to the students? She was a senior. She was very much interested in becoming a dental hygienist. She wanted to go to Kenton Dental to do her internship, but unfortunately they weren't taking interns that year. So she went to Advanced Dental Care instead and was with Dr. Corelli. And she's now hired as a dental hygienist at Kenton Dental. So again, we have success stories of students where their internship has led them right into a job, which I think is really great. So I'm inviting you to our WCC exposition. This was last year's graduating class, and you will go and hear firsthand from the students what their capstone project was about, the expo portions from 11 to noon, and then we have a luncheon which you're all invited to come and be part of. And the students get up and they thank their mentors, give a little presentation like Aubrey did about what they thought was most valuable in their internship. And so please do come to that. And then I'm constantly recruiting, so if you have an idea for mentors and for interns, so if you have an idea of where you'd like me to speak at next, let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. I was just at Rotary and also at our expo at the career fair at the high school. But as you can see, I have a brochure about, we're always looking for new mentors in the community and also interns. But you are more than welcome to come May 10th, okay? You will be getting a personal invitation as well very shortly, but from 11 to 1 p.m. and join us for lunch as well to hear the students' presentations and learn about their capstone projects and their internships. And also meet their mentors, because their mentors come, and it's just a really great networking opportunity for everyone all around. So, okay, so we'll switch over to Pratt. I teach the mock trial program. It is an elective class, a year-long elective class at Kenton High School, and we call it Mock Trial Legal Studies. But the big portion of it is for students getting ready for the mock trial competition through the Ohio Center for Legal Related Education. Basically, they're the statewide organization that organizes the mock trial competitions throughout the state. So it's the big one. We participated in it. It's called OCLRE, and that happens every January. And so there you can see students really, they get a lot out of it. There's so much that they get out of it that it's hard to even quantify. From becoming teammates to legal reasoning skills, legal analytics, learning how to write a brief, learning how to read a law case, learning public speaking. There's so much they get out of it, but I think their friendships are probably one of the things they enjoy the most. So this was last year's, not this year, but last year, we took away quite a few awards, which was really nice, and we have students that have come back and repeated, which is great. So outstanding attorney. But our team grew from 2016 to 2017 when we first started. We were quite small, and we grew last year, and then this year there's the team and the class. So the program continues to grow, and I think I was told I had 20-something students potentially registered for this coming year in the course. So the word is definitely getting out. I think the students learn a lot from it, and more than just what happens in the courtroom. They actually take on the roles of attorney, expert witness, bailiff, and we have community members that come in and help judge. So here you see the backs of them, but we have Paul McKinley, attorney in town, Magistrate Maria Santo, and our prosecutor, Brad Bailey. So helping them prepare for their actual competition. We have practices not only within the class, but on the weekends, and I get actual attorneys either to come to class or to come to the practices and give them actual feedback on it. And then, of course, I'm an attorney myself, so I do have that ability not just to be a teacher, but actually to help coach them with my litigation background. So that's helpful. So you can see students are practicing on the weekends. This is right before the competition. The kids get very, very nervous, but there they are out in the hallway going over things last minute with each other, which I love because they know it's like they're moments away from competing, and they see the other teams, and they get very, very serious real quick. So there's the students being sworn in by the bailiff, and they're getting ready to go. They have all their notes out and everything like that. And then they actually, we have judges that are actual judges and attorneys in the community from all over Ohio that participate in the program, and they actually serve as judges. So there's that one judge, and there's two others in the room. And then you can see this year's team, and I'm going to have the students come up. Chris Colwell and Bryce Heckathorn, come on up, and we'll explain what actually goes on here. But the attorneys actually give opening statements. They examine witnesses, they cross-examine witnesses, and they give a closing argument. So both Bryce and Chris are going to demonstrate, but I just wanted to point out that Chris Colwell received the Best Expert Award, or Best Witness Award, but he was an expert in our case, and he did an outstanding job this year. So Bryce, I think, is going to do his opening statement, and then he is going to examine Chris, right? You want to give your opening statement?
I also apologize if I'm a little rusty. It's been a minute. So yeah, every year we'll go and it's just like a real trial. And we start with an opening statement, which I have here. Okay. May I proceed, Your Honor? Stand up, You introduce yourself. My name is Bryce Heckathorn, and I represent the defense in this case. And normally I'd take a minute, let my team introduce themselves. So go ahead.
I'm Chris Cole. I'll be playing Quinn Wolf, the defendant in this case.
Alrighty. May it please the court. In the small town of Harmony, someone has managed to steal $120 million. The entirety of their pension fund for employees. Now, the only way that someone could have managed to do this is by obtaining a 24-digit alphanumeric code used to access this fund. Now, my client, Quinn Wolf, has been wrongfully accused of stealing this numeric code and the pension funds because of drone footage that was obtained to survey neighboring farmland for city development. The drone that was contracted by the city to survey farmland just happened to also capture video of the Wolf residence during its flight. Now, normally this is overlooked, but this time, Officer Jordan Miller had Eli Moss, the CEO of Omniscient, review and enhance the captured footage to accuse Mr. Wolf of committing such crimes. Your Honor, today I'm going to show and prove that the evidence put forth by the prosecution is unlawful and unconstitutional. Using the footage the drone had captured to spy into Mr. Wolf's private property violates his Fourth Amendment right. My client's property was unlawfully searched when the drone footage was enhanced specifically to see Mr. Wolf's actions and his residence without a warrant. I will prove that the evidence shown is in fact unconstitutional and must be suppressed. In order to establish that, the court should suppress the evidence obtained from the Northridge Police Department's unlawful search and seizure of my client's property, we must prove that the actions of the private entity, Eli Moss, did infringe upon Mr. Wolf's Fourth Amendment right, as Moss's actions were a tribute to the state. To make this determination, the United States Supreme Court established a two-pronged test in Katz versus United States. In Katz, the Supreme Court of the United States analyzed what circumstances give rise to the Fourth Amendment protections. In our case, defendant Wolf can establish both Katz prongs. First, Mr. Wolf maintained an actual and subjective expectation of privacy in the private gazebo in his yard. Secondly, defendant Wolf's expectation of privacy is that which society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. Mr. Wolf was under the roof of his gazebo, out of sight of others. Additionally, he did not publicize the journal that he obtained because the contents of the journal were private. Further, the gazebo's roof and lattices protected Defendant Wolf's activities inside his gazebo. Therefore, Omniscient and Buckeye's drone footage violated Mr. Wolf's actual expectation of privacy, which society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. Today, you will hear from two key witnesses in this matter. Mr. Quinn Wolf himself, who will explain exactly what he was doing, his intentions, and the reason for having said piece of the alphanumeric code. You will also hear testimony from Dr. Parker Monroe, the expert witness in unmanned aerial vehicle technology for this case. Mr. Monroe will tell the court just how weird the contract between the city and Omniscient was written, worded, and specified. However, today you will also likely hear from Officer Jordan, who will tell you that he managed to pinpoint this theft on Mr. Wolf, except that his only lead came from word of mouth and included information that was being withheld from the investigation. Furthermore, Mr. Miller's only proof was obtained illegally and cannot be allowed in court. The prosecution will also call on Eli Moss to testify today. Eli will tell you that he followed the city's contract exactly and did everything he was supposed to, even though it was oddly specific. When asked to provide the footage for the police, he was obligated to via his contract. But the imaging was enhanced specifically for the Wolf residence, which was not stated in the contract and was done so without a warrant. Your Honor, in conclusion, the evidence presented today against Mr. Quinn Wolf is shown to be unconstitutional and violates his Fourth Amendment right. Mr. Wolf's property was illegally searched without a warrant when drone footage was enhanced specifically to view his actions. Therefore, it must not be permitted in court and must be exonerated. Please rule in favor of the defense. Thank you. And then we would bring up our witnesses and we would question them, just like a real trial. So we're going to do that today. We have 3-4 pages of questions, but I'll probably only go through 1 or 2, or else it'll take forever. Okay. Can you please state your name for the record? And what is your occupation?
A full-time student at Charlotte High School.
And do you have a favorite hobby?
I do. I enjoy code breaking.
And then what sparked your initial interest in code breaking?
I started delving into code breaking after I learned to read and write in Morse code.
And do you share this hobby with anybody else?
Yeah, absolutely, Avery Stone.
And who exactly is Avery Stone?
Well, that's a rough patch of grass to walk on, but Avery's more of an acquaintance now.
And why is that?
Because we're not really friends anymore because on the paper that we had written for a scholarship contest, and the scholarship had rejected both of us. And he started spreading rumors that I cheated and plagiarized him.
See. And then when you guys were friends, what would you do together? Hang out, that sort of thing?
We would break codes together, which seemed as if it were a game.
And then what did this code-breaking game entail?
We would send pictures of codes back and forth to each other. We would come up with one, try and solve it. Well, is that right? Oh, the best way to put this. We just sent codes back and forth to each other, I guess.
You know, tried to crack them?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And could you provide the court with an example of a recent challenge that Mr. Stone had sent you?
He had sent me a photo of what he called an unbreakable code.
And were you ever able to crack this code?
No, I wasn't. Usually I can crack his code a better day or two, but this one was different.
What made it different?
It was unsolvable. I couldn't solve it. I spent hours and hours, afternoons upon afternoons, trying to solve it, but I couldn't.
Where do you normally do your code breaking then?
Outside my backyard.
Gotcha. Why exactly would you be sitting outside to crack the code?
My backyard's more like an oasis. It's the only place I can get private.
Could you think of any possible reason to not want to hang out in your backyard?
Not really. Well, maybe one time in the year. That's around April when the Hollywood Balloon Festival takes off. There's too much chaos.
Too many eyes, overhead?
More like too much noise.
Gotcha. Now, turning over to the date in which Avery Stone sent you this unbreakable code. Could you please tell us about August 24th of 2018?
I can. It happened to be like any other day. He sent me a code and I began to work on it. And that's it.
What about the weeks after August 24th?
I had given up on the code he provided me, but that's solely because I didn't think it was actually code. Moments later, I heard a knock at the door, and it turned into complete confiscation of the personal journal.
And following that, you were arrested, correct?
Yes, I was.
And when exactly was that?
September 15th, 2018, after the football game at Charlie Line.
Did the police happen to tell you what you were being arrested for?
Multiple times.
What were you being accused of?
Aggravated theft and telecommunications fraud.
And what was your reaction to this arrest?
I was devastated and overwhelmed by the fact, to say the least.
Why is that?
Because I'm just a high school teenager. I don't understand what those terms mean. They confuse me the entire situation.
Do you believe that you were being set up somehow?
Yes, I do. I believe I was being set up by Eli Moss, Sam Stone, and his son Avery. Again, I can see any one of them wanting to train me.
And how do you happen to know Eli Moss?
He and my family go way back to college days. My dad and him were, again, acquaintances, and they had a falling out, so I feel like this was his way of retaliating.
And what happened between your father and Eli those some odd years ago?
Eli and my father both ran for class president back in the college years. And in order to try to kick my dad out of the race, Eli spread rumors. But Eli had been plagiarizing, so he had to step down from the election. Ever since, we've never gotten along.
Gotcha. And then I'll wrap this up here. Finally, throughout this entire ordeal, how are you faring? How are you feeling about this?
It's ruined my life. It's taken a toll on everything that I know and love, actually, and it's completely heart-wrenching. And that somebody would do something like that just to get back into the friend.
Yeah. It's, oddly ridiculous. All right. Thank you.
Now we'll take a vote, guilty or not.
Very nice job, both of you. So that's just a taste of what it's about, but I just wanted to point out that the students receive a packet about 150 pages long, close to 200 pages, where they go through actual cases, they go through a fact pattern, they go through motions, they go through evidence, and they write that script. They write their opening, they write everything. So they're all their own material, and they learn how to object to evidence just like they would in a courtroom. So there's a lot of things that they're learning through the program. Well, that's everything that I have for you tonight. I'm sure you're glad to know that. But I did want to say a very special thanks first to the school board, to all of you for allowing these programs to exist at our high school. I think they're very beneficial for our students, and also to Mrs. Konzarski for the Wildcat Community Connector program for allowing me to spearhead that and coordinate it. It's just been something that I've truly enjoyed doing. And then also to Mr. Jones and Mr. Thresh, who's not here, but very special thanks to them as well, because they are very supportive of me and these endeavors, and I might drive them crazy sometimes, but it is all for our students. I promise you, I want us to succeed, Kenton High School to do well, and Kenton City Schools to achieve and do great things. So thank you.
Well, thanks a lot for coming out this evening. And I got a question for you guys. What your experience, with the mock trial? What do you feel like you gained from that?
Well, I've always had an interest in law and being an attorney, possibly going to law school. And I felt like this would be a nice representative of what it could be if I did end up going to law school and becoming an attorney, and seeing what I could have to offer.
Good.
I was thinking the exact same way, except that it also helps me with because I'm still out there doing it, but the public speaking is something that I gain from this.
Yeah, good. We certainly appreciate the students coming and the moms too. And so, appreciate you joining us this evening and sharing with us. We gain a lot from you guys coming, and we have different groups come and share things, and we really appreciate it. And also, you, Christina, thanks for coming out and letting us know what's happening. I think putting students in these real-world situations really expands their understanding of how the world works and what things, the next step, let's say, will be for them as they move through the high school years and do something different. So, thanks a lot. If you guys, we're going to move on with our meeting. If you'd like to.
We have one more enrichment, but they can go ahead. I mean, it's a video, but there's just one more enrichment piece.
Oh.
Okay.
I have one computer technical. Christina's power adapter to her laptop.
Either way, you can slide out. Whenever you want. You guys can slide. You are not insulted.
Thanks.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys want to hurry?
No, you you're able to go. You're good.
Yeah. This takes longer to go, so we're all waiting for it.
Christina, thank you.
There was a windows that have been started over there.
Don't say it.
Didn't shut down properly.
Yeah.
Must restart computer. Just started it.
So while Ryan's restarting, I can give you just a little background of what you're going to see. Our 5th and 6th grade enrichment group went to the Junior Achievement BizTown. And so what that is, it's a simulated village where kids get to run a business. They sell and buy things, and they try to pay off their loan by the end of the day. And they had a really exciting time. It went really well. And so they produced a video of what that experience was.
This town is a fun place to learn and to be an adult. It's kind of pretty much a small local town with like businesses. And a new town where kids get to be adults for a day.
Through Junior Achievement, the 5th and 6th grade enrichment students participated in a project called BizTown. The project culminates in a field trip to Junior Achievement in Columbus for a simulation day. For 2.5 months leading up to our visit, we learned about financial literacy, communities and economics, work and career readiness, business management, and more. Our students participated in discussions and a variety of activities as we explored each of these topics. The lessons included learning about different types of banks, how to write checks and deposit slips, the benefits of saving money, debit and credit cards, rights and responsibilities as citizens in a community, the circular flow of money throughout the economy, economic freedoms, resources and the issue of scarcity, taxes and philanthropy, researching STEM careers, writing a job application, interviewing for a job, having an election, running quality businesses, and the relationship between prices and profits. All of this learning came together in a simulation as the students completed their jobs at their business and chose how to spend their paychecks during their shopping break.
Hello, my name is Gary Worrell. I am the president of Franklin University. At Franklin University, we sell stressful, stock bracelets, and string bags. We have hardworking employees that will serve you right for a living. Franklin University is the highway to your dreams. This town is when I want to sell different items. Paying the bills and stuff. My favorite part was traveling to all the different stores and seeing what their layout was. My favorite part was getting sick and it was fun. I forgot to buy insurance when they asked us to because I didn't think that anything would go wrong. So when they started doing it the first time, I was like, oh, I might be okay. There's about 100 kids. I got like a 200 chance. So, and then the second time they called on me, and I was like, what? It's crazy. So, Kroger's, and I worked at Donato's. So, Kroger's mixed their applesauce with pizza, and it was so good that I ate 3 pizzas of it, and I was sick and had to go to the hospital and had a giant stomach ache. I learned how to fill out a check register. I learned how to write checks. I learned how to be a bank teller and how to cash my money. I learned how to write checks. I learned how to write checks. A lot harder than 2 years old already. But it was like, to buy insurance. Can save a lot of money. So instead I had to pay $2 for a hospital bill instead of paying $1 for insurance.
He's gonna be insurance. That can't be the insurance.
Bar door after the horse
Insurance
We
was
gotta follow that up, guys.
That was good.
That's awesome.
Insurance,
He's the next insurance.
He's gonna be tax insurance.
Come to me, I know the show.
What do you need someone else?
All right, that's good.
My kids used to watch Disney Town videos. That's all I can think of.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I can remember the Vincent Van Gogh. They're all animals. And on that note, put that, you gonna quote that, Jim? I know. I hope somebody's listening. All right, are we done with public participation?
Yes.
I think so. So we'll go to the reports of the treasurer. We have a motion to approve those reports.
Rush.
Carmen.
Okay. Any discussion, questions? Not, we'll vote.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carney?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Watt?
Yes. To the superintendent's report.
Just a couple things, because I think most of it will be covered in committees. The first item that I had listed was the recognition of our 2019 Alumni Hall of Fame inductees. Russell Kaufman, Jay Pfeiffer, and Rodney Rogers. So the committee reviewed all of the applications, and we selected 3 this year. They'll all be invited to graduation. We have a reception for them, and then they'll be honored at the graduation ceremony and given a chance to speak if they want to. So that went really well. The other piece that I just wanted to share was that we have applied for a new $400,000 grant. It helps create alternative pathways for graduation. It also, and the way it would do that would be by increasing our internships and capstone pathways for students. So as Christina spoke tonight about the Wildcat Community Connector Grant, we've had that for 2 of the 3 years that we've had the program. And so that grant no longer exists. The government comes up with different grants that you can do kind of more things with. And we should find out the end of May or June if we get this grant. So this would expand our program. The program will still exist as it does now, but these monies would help us expand and give more opportunities to more students, especially those that are at risk of not graduating with the new requirements. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Go to committee reports, finance committee.
Yeah, Mark, we actually met on April 10th. First topic on the agenda that we kind of looked at was the budget versus actual numbers, obviously with the financial side of things. Things seem to be lining up right in line with what we kind of anticipated. No real surprises there, but I don't think that really stuck out at this point. This point, we're still waiting on some of the numbers to come in. Some of the real estate numbers have come in. Some of the other stuff, the rollback and the homestead stuff, we're still working on, waiting on that to come in. I think we're thinking the end of the month for that one, that should roll in. Number 2 was the solar panels that we're kind of looking into for the Kenton Elementary School. We did get a second proposal in that we looked at. I think we're kind of looking at a third potential contact company to take a look at that, obviously just to save some energy and help us along the way with the Kenton Elementary School there. The third one was staffing. We talked a little bit about staffing with the kids moving from potentially grades, going up next year in grades, going to different schools, from the elementary school to the middle school and from the middle school to the high school, kind of looking at the staffing model of what maybe we need to change or float a teacher here or there just to make sure we've got the right number of teachers for the correct number of students in each building. So we're kind of taking a look at that at this point. And then we also, a little bit of discussion on, is it Vincent Checkpoint. We had a company come in and kind of take a look at the reporting based on the number of students that we have, where we should, making sure our numbers are going in correctly, getting reported correctly to the state. Right now we're actually working with WOCO. We really think that we got a proposal from Vincent, which was about $19,000. We're not really hold off on that at this point. We really want to work with our current company to see if they can help us be a little more, efficient in that manner with those. And then you've already mentioned the grant that we spoke about. So that was it for that. Mark?
All right, any questions? Finance? Facilities Committee?
Facilities, we met last Friday, had a discussion on the soccer field. Might be tiling that. If we do, it'll be in the fall. Also, we'll be rebuilding the concession stand. We're waiting for good weather. Had a discussion about the possibility of secondary set of doors of the main entrance of the high school and middle school, and getting a quote on this. And then also getting a quote on some brickwork at the high school.
All right. Questions there? Extracurricular committee?
Yeah, we met April 9th. A few things there. They had the reverse raffle. They say it was an increase from last year. They don't have the final numbers yet on that. The college coaches panel, they're doing that again. That's April 17th at 6:30 in the Kenton High School. The football, women's soccer, women's basketball. And then the mattress sale fundraiser speaker will be there. The mattress sale itself is set for Saturday, May 11th. They're doing a thing this year called Egg My Yard, where student athletes are going to hide candy eggs in anybody who signs up's yard. That's April 20th. Physicals for athletes, Ohio Health. That's Tuesday, May 28th. That's in the field house. They're just asking for a $10 donation. That's grades 6 through 12, and that's from 5:30 to 8:30. He talked about a little bit here. They're wanting to pour concrete for the new concession stand in June, and it's going to increase the current size we have to 10 by 24. So.
All right. Any questions there? Career Center.
Mr. Blue just wanted me to remind everyone that the district showcase is being held on April 24th at 6 p.m. At Ohio High Point. And said Mrs. Penzarski should be receiving invitations soon. So he just wanted me to remind everyone about that. That's it.
And I do have a conflict, so that's not, this will be the first one I missed, but it's really worth going. So if one or two people could go and represent us, that would be wonderful.
What day is that again?
The 24th.
24th.
Of April. I mean, next.
Students do the meal down there and presentations from all all the districts that feed into High Point are invited there, so it's a good evening. Policy Committee.
Oh, that's me. Sorry, I was making a note. Policy, we actually met on April 12th. 3 topics of discussion. The first one was actually the transportation study. You know, we've heard a little bit about that. We did have some public participation on the tier system that we discussed. This one actually is the policy that we're reviewing right now, and looking forward to probably having that in May that we'll talk about a little more detail. This is where the pickup and drop off scenario is going to be for the parents. We're looking at we're looking at having one pickup location and one drop-off location for each student. So
Yeah, not the tiered system for 1920. This was the policy that we had discussed at the end, which would basically have parents subscribe to a bus, subscribe to a route, and say, this is where we want to be picked up in the AM, and this is where I want to be picked up in the PM. And then what you would do is, if that changed, you would just change your subscription, just like you would change an address, if that made sense. And you would say, I need to change my AM pickup to this because of a work problem, or maybe we need to pick up at a babysitter now every day. So you could resubscribe and do those kinds of things. That'll just help us with accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second one was the smoking policy. We're reviewing the smoking policy about campus-free smoking policy that we're looking at. So that'll also be something that we'll talk about more next month.
And we had done the survey probably back in, was it December?
Yeah, it was
somewhere in that
like
range. We did the survey, and it was very positive that we needed to change and align to what other districts do for a smoke-free campus.
And then the last was we reviewed I believe it was one application for a Category 2 for the facilities, and we did go ahead and approve the Northwest Ohio Girls Basketball League for practice, only using the facility to that category.
And I think that will be on the May agenda as well. Most of
Was
these
it?
items.
Oh, it was on May agenda. I'm sorry. That's
That's
fine.
okay. Most of them will come on the May
Yes, we
agenda
discussed
for
about
final
it.
approval. That'll give you time to look over everything.
And that was it.
All right, thank you. There's no old business, so we'll move to new business. Item 10, we have a motion for that, please.
Albert.
Stryker.
These are personnel items.
And it's April. In April, we non-renew
Yeah.
every coach in every position. There's nothing personal. It just happens every April. And the next meeting will be 2 to 3 pages retired. Every coach in every extracurricular kind of position. So just note that it's April.
Could you explain the reason for that?
I think it's required because they're 1-year supplemental contracts.
There you go.
So we're required to non-renew and then renew.
And technically, we're supposed to make those available to the teaching staff first, unless we're happy with who's going to fill it.
All the positions, okay.
Tell them.
Post.
It's kind of a standard operating procedure. Okay. A few other resignations and,
It's the season.
yes, so.
That's the time of year.
Any comments or questions about any of those? Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote on that, please.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Strecker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Next, item 11 is authorizations and resolutions. Have a motion for that, please.
Stryker.
Is there a second?
Carmen.
Any discussions or questions on those? First item there is recognition of Teacher Appreciation Week, and so it was good. We certainly appreciate all the hard work that our teachers do and how important role they play in what we're doing. They're the key people and what takes place in the school district, so them and the students. So. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to the vote there, too, please.
Ms. Strecker?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmen?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
And we have item 12 is a motion to go in executive session.
Rush.
Second. Time is be 7:49. Yeah, we'll take no action after we dismiss from that. So if we could have a vote for that, please.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Turney?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Ms. Striker?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned, and our next meeting will be May 20th at 7 p.m. here. Hopefully, in the Education Office.